All right, everybody, Samori Benjamin here from Citi Field, here with Washington Nationals first base coach Corey Ray. Corey, man, thanks for joining me. Nice meeting you. I know you're from Chicago, and Chicago, when I think about Chicago and black baseball players, I think about 2014 Jackie Robinson Little League team that went to the Little League World Series, all-black team, and I know Curtis Granderson also, somebody that's from Chicago. And so I know you're kind of like in between those two eras right there, those two generations. But growing up in Chicago, how did you get into baseball?
I was 4 years old. My dad's coworker started a Little League team and he needed one extra body. So my dad threw me out there in center field, and that's where I was for my entire career.
Well, okay, so were you into football and basketball as well?
I loved basketball.
Okay.
My dad played basketball in college. I love basketball, but I felt like I was better at baseball, and I felt like I could use baseball to get me a college education.
Yeah, so I saw you were born in '94, right? Mm-hmm. So you kind of probably were a little too young to really experience the Michael Jordan Bulls, that whole dominance.
Yeah.
So you came around. So I guess you definitely probably were a Derrick Rose fan.
Yep.
I saw you went to his high school, Simeon, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so were you a Bulls fan growing up?
I was a Bulls fan growing up because of the MJ stories, of course. But then D Rose played for the Bulls. We went to the same high school. I was a D Rose fan, and so I had to root for the Bulls.
Were you a football fan?
Not really.
Okay, not really. And so, did you root for the Cubs, White Sox, or neither team?
When I was younger, I rooted for the White Sox. I played for Chicago White Sox A, so I spent a lot of time at US Cellular Field is what it was back then. I think it's Guaranteed Rate Field or something like that now. And so Scott Pasegnik was one of my favorite players. He played for the White Sox. I spent a lot of time around that team, and so I grew up rooting for the White Sox. In high school, I had the opportunity to play at Wrigley Field, and that's when it switched. Feeling the history at Wrigley Field made me a Cubs fan.
The Under Armour game, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big high school game, and I saw that you made that. And but now the White Sox, 2005, they won the World Series. So, do you have any memories about that?
I just remember watching the game with my granddad. That's all I can remember. We used to watch, the Cubs used to come on at first at 1 o'clock, and then after that we grabbed dinner and then we watched the White Sox at night. And then I remember watching the entire World Series with my granddad. We were really close. He really supported my baseball career, and so being able to take that in and witness that with him was something that I'll remember forever.
Cool, yeah. I have a twin sister that lives in Chicago, and so through her, I've been there a few times, so I definitely got a chance to go to both ballparks and the White Sox Stadium in the South Side, and that's pretty cool. And like I said, the Jackie Robinson Little League all-black team in 2014 that made the Little League World Series, that was really interesting to me because Little League World Series I always watch it every year since I was a kid, and like some years I would turn to it and I want to see like one black American kid on any other USA team. So when I saw the Jackie Robinson West team in 2014, even before they clinched the berth to Williamsport, I was like, wow, I pay attention to them. So when you were coming up, like how many of your black peers were into baseball?
So when I came up, it was a little different. We were an all-black travel team that played all over the place and had some success, and that's why the Chicago White Sox picked us up. But outside of that team and that circle, nobody played baseball. It was always football, basketball. Some of my friends ran track.
Yeah, so you said the White Sox picked you guys up. So I remember being at the White Sox Stadium and seeing how they had a program in the community where they sponsored some black ball players and all that. So you were part of that program?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it started with I played with Jackie Robinson West Little League when I was younger. And so this coach, Robert Fletcher, he took the best players from Jackie Robinson West Little League, Southside Little League, Roseland Little League, the best African American Little Leagues, and put us on a travel team. And we were called the Upper Deck Cougars. And so we would go and play all these other travel teams around the country. And then the Chicago White Sox started ACE, the Amateur City Elite program, where we kind of took their jerseys. We continued to do the same thing, went to a bunch of different tournaments, played in the Double Duty Classic at US Cellular Field at that time. And they just paid for us to get exposure in the game and get us college scholarships.
Yeah, I mean, that must have been cool because I think about myself growing up here. I grew up in Harlem, and so I was on a Harlem tournament team after the season, and that for me was very cool, but we didn't travel anywhere near the way you guys did. So what was it feeling like to be able to make that team and to be able to travel with that team and play other teams?
It was great because the first year or two, it was tough on our parents, having to pay for travel, having to send us, and they couldn't necessarily afford to go and watch us play. And so I don't know that it was sustainable, right? Had we stayed the Upper Deck Cougars, the White Sox taking over and picking up our tab allowed our family to come and see us play. It allowed us the opportunity to go and play all over the country against some of the best players and best teams around the country. But it also allowed us to see that we can hang with anybody, right? And so I think what that allowed us to do is to continue to hone in on our goals and hone in on our skills so that we could play at the next level.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so now, when you were in high school playing, like I said, you went to Simeon. Now, what was the baseball landscape like in high school in terms of your competition in the Chicago area? And you're going to Simeon, big basketball school. So, at what point did you decide that you were going to stop playing basketball?
So I only played basketball 1 year. It was 8th grade year.
Okay.
For the most part, I played for the legendary Leroy Franklin at Simeon,
Okay.
Hall of Fame baseball coach for years. If you're going to play for Coach Franklin, you can't really play any other sports. And so my basketball career was short-lived. But the city, at that time, the public league was competitive. There were a lot of African-American players, some who played with the A's, some who played with the Cream, that went to various high schools around the city in the public league. And so the talent, the competition was higher than I think what it had been in previous years. And so that just allowed us to get used to playing really good competition and ultimately helped us get ready for college baseball.
Nice. Like you said, Under Armour game, you got a name to that. That was like 2012 for you, right?
So yeah, yep.
So Wrigley Field, and like I said, that's one of the top high school all-star games. A lot of future prospects, a lot of prospects in that game. So what do you remember about just being named to it and having a chance to play in it?
It was great because not many people from my area were getting nominated for things like that at that time. I think afterwards, a few guys, I know right after me, Darius Day, who I grew up playing with, played in the game also. But just to be able to play in that game and for that game to be in Chicago. And so my grandparents, aunts and uncles who had never seen me play or who hadn't seen me play since Little League, because I was playing all over the country, were able to see me play on a major league field against some of the best players in the country.
Yeah, and I know you went to Louisville for college, but before that, you got drafted, by Pittsburgh or Seattle?
I got drafted by Seattle.
By Seattle, like in the 30 or something round. And so that's very cool. So at that point, being drafted in 30 something round by Seattle, how much did you want to take that offer then, and what made you decide to go to Louisville?
I wanted to go. I absolutely wanted to go. If my name was called the last pick in the draft, I would have wanted to go.
Yeah.
Just for the chance, the reason that you play baseball, right, is for the chance to play at the professional level. And so to hear my name called in the amateur draft was something that I'll cherish forever. Ultimately, my dad decided that if I went to college, we really believed in what Coach Dan McDonald was doing at Louisville. We thought that college would be good for me. My family is really big on education. And so my dad wanted me to go to college not only to get stronger and to enter the draft as more mature, more stronger, more filled out, but also to get 3 years, 4 years of an education. Because he always used to say they can take baseball away from you, they can never take your education away from you.
Right, yeah, cool. And Louisville, I had a chance to, I've only been to Kentucky one time, and when I was in Louisville, got a chance to drop by the campus real quick. But when you were there, there were a lot of talented athletes there, basketball,
absolutely.
football. I got Donovan Mitchell was there, right, and maybe even Lamar Jackson when you were there.
Jackson was there,
And so, what was it like just being on the campus amongst all those athletes, and how was it playing? And was that Big East at that time?
We were in my first year in the American, and then we went to the ACC.
Okay.
There's this saying that I've kind of adopted: iron sharpens iron, and I think that's what it was at Simeon, and then that continued at Louisville. You're talking about the Donovan Mitchells, you're talking about the Lamar Jacksons, the Cal Funkhausers, the Brendan McKays, the Birdie brothers, all of the really good players that were at the school at that time. You see those guys, you see the work that they put in. You also want to match that, but also you see the success that they have on the field, and you didn't want to be the team that wasn't having success, and so you work that much harder to have success.
Yeah, and I saw you did your thing. So what was it like just playing, in ACC? A lot of other guys now in the major leagues who you play with in the minor leagues, who you play with in ACC ball. So
absolutely.
What was that experience like?
It was competitive. It was every weekend that you played, you had the chance. If you went out there and you didn't play to the best of your ability, you were going to get whooped, right? And so playing with that competition, for that program made my college career memorable. Like, I'm a big advocate of college just because of the experiences that I've had in college, the ups and the downs, how it not only prepared me for professional baseball, but it prepared me for life after, right? And so I think growing up in that environment, right, in the environment with all the really good players that I played with, all the really good players that I played against in the ACC for the University of Louisville, ultimately shaped the man that I am today.
Yeah, and so I saw your numbers. You did a little bit of everything. Average, hitting, power, stolen bases as well. So you did it all, and you got drafted number 5 overall with 2016. That was.
Yep.
So you go from high school getting selected like in the 30th round, and you try to go to college, get an education, and you get picked 5th in the draft. So what was that feeling like?
I want to say I cried, right? Not only now I get the opportunity to play in professional baseball, because there's no way anybody was talking me out of signing out of college 5th overall. But now I've got the opportunity to change not only my life but the lives around me. I can take care of my dad and my grandparents and anybody, family members who needed help at that time. And so not only from an opportunity standpoint in terms of being able to play professional baseball, I'm also my pockets are a little bit fatter, and so I can help take care of my family and give back to them everything that they invested and spent into me.
Yeah, and the minor leagues, it's a grind. It's something that, I've been looking at the decline of Black American players in Major League Baseball for a while now. One thing that people tell me is that one reason why some Black American kids decide to not go to baseball route is because minor leagues says you got to go through that. Unlike the other sports where you're automatically on the big league team, NBA, NFL, you got to go to the minor league grind first. That's not easy. So, what was the minor leagues like for you?
Minor leagues was tough. Minor leagues were tough. You're going from being in the ACC, playing in some of the best ballparks in amateur baseball, to going to an A-ball affiliate where the pregame meal is bologna sandwiches, and maybe one of the lights don't work or the lights aren't great in the outfield. And so just being able to, you've got to fight through it, right? It's every single day. College, you play 4 games a week. In professional baseball, it's every single day. And that was back before this new landscape of professional baseball where you got 1 off day a month, right? You were playing every single day. You traveled the long bus trips. It built resiliency, right? And it helped you become a man.
Yeah, and I saw one of those years, I think 2017 or 2018, you won MVP of the AA, I think Southern League.
Yep.
So your numbers were outstanding. So what do you remember about that season?
I remember the work that I put in the entire year. I finally got into a routine. I understood what it meant to have a routine. I did that routine every single day, and those numbers showed out on the field. And so, back to your point about African Americans not wanting to play baseball because you've got to go through the minor leagues, I think, the minor leagues teach you a lot about baseball, but they also teach you a lot about life, the importance of having a routine, the importance of doing things the right way. And maybe the good doesn't come right away, right? You've got to have some delayed gratification and understand that if I keep doing what I'm supposed to do, if I keep putting one foot in front of the other, the good will come.
How many Afro-American players were in the Brewers? You got drafted by the Brewers. So how many Afro-Americans did you see in the minor league system of the Brewers coming up?
When I came up, we probably had about 6 or 7 in the minor league system, which was probably on the higher end, I'd say. Guys who are still my friends to this day, absolutely. But the numbers were definitely not where they were in the 90s and the early 2000s.
You mentioned that. So, for you growing up, you like I said, born in 94, because the 90s was my wheelhouse as a kid growing up. A whole lot of Black American players, something like 20% of the ball players were Black American, and then beginning in the 2000s, whatnot, it really took a drastic turn to 8% where it is now. Who were some of your favorite players growing up?
Curtis Granderson was one of them. I get the opportunity and the blessing to call him my mentor today, thankfully. But then you're talking about guys like Jimmy Rollins. I was a White Sox fan, so Jermaine Dye. The Derek Lees of the world, first baseman for the Cubs. There were Ryan Howards. There were a ton of guys when I was growing up that played baseball and were very super exciting. Barry Bonds, right? You're talking about some really, really talented players.
And you're an outfielder. You were an outfielder, and So now, and lefty as well. So now I know. So 2021, you made your MLB debut, right?
Yeah.
With the Brewers, and I know you actually were pinch hit for Freddie Peralta with the Mets right now.
Yep.
And so you get to the big leagues in about 5 years after being drafted. So what do you remember about just finding out that you want to get the call and that first game for you?
Man, I teared up when he told me that I was on the team. It was in Chicago. We were playing the Chicago Cubs.
Wow.
And Craig Counsell, our manager at the time, told me that I was on the team and that I might have a chance to play that day. It was like a dream come true, right? You work so hard for years, for decades for that moment, and that moment came, and words can't possibly describe how I felt in that moment.
And so I know like that might have been like your only game in the big leagues.
Yep.
And so so do you think that you had the game to get more of an opportunity in the big leagues?
So what I say all the time, especially guys who are coming up in the minor leagues now, it's not only about talent, right? You've got to have a little luck.
Yeah, no
the
doubt.
timing has to be right,
Opportunity.
and they've got to be opportunity. And so, coming up in the minor leagues, I was behind Ryan Brown, Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich, Avisail Garcia, really, really good players who were professionals, took care of themselves, and never got hurt. And so the opportunity, for the most part, never presented itself.
Right.
And so the only thing that I could control, the only thing that you can control as a player, as a man, is what you can control, right? I could only control going out there, being the best player that I could possibly be, putting in the work that I can do to the best of my ability, and that's what I did. And so I had no ill will about the way that my career went, because I knew had the opportunity presented itself, I would have been ready.
Yeah, and you are a young guy, and you're already here on the coaching staff for the Nationals, so at some point you had to make a very tough decision to stop pursuing a professional playing career and transition to coaching.
Absolutely.
So how did you come to that decision to stop pursuing playing and becoming a coach?
Yeah, I was blessed. I grew up and I had the opportunity to come into contact with some really good men, some really good mentors who the relationship that I had with them, I wanted to have that with other players. And so from a very young age, I knew no matter how long I played, at some point I was going to coach. And so when it got to a point as a player where I was playing not to get hurt, I wasn't playing to have fun, I wasn't playing to help my team win, I was just trying to stay on the field. When you get to that point, it isn't fun anymore. And so I decided to walk away so that I can pour into guys who have fun playing this game and who want to play this game at the next level.
Right, and so I think by like your second year coaching, you became a manager in the minor leagues. That was with the Cubs, right?
Yeah, yep.
So you got an opportunity with the Cubs. So that must have been cool to your hometown team gave you the opportunity to coach, and then you became a manager very young, like 29, 30 years old. So how did that opportunity come about, and how was it being a manager?
So I bench coached my first year, just trying to get my lay of the land, trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do, what I wanted to go into. And everybody was telling me, you gotta be a hitting coach, you gotta be a hitting coach. And I felt like I brought more to the game than just hitting, right? And so I was a really good base runner, I could really play outfield. I wanted to do something that allowed me to do everything, all encompassing. And manager was the way to do that. And so I spoke with our farm director after the year that I bench coached, and I said, hey, I would really like the chance to become a manager. And so he told me what I needed to do to become a manager. There's some things that you got to change. There's some things that you got to do differently. I did those things, and to his credit, to Jared Banner's credit, that was our farm director at the time. I changed those things. I made that change. The opportunity was there, and he gave me the opportunity to be a manager.
That's awesome, man. And how was that experience, just calling the shots and managing the plays? What was that like?
It was great. It was great. It fulfills you as a coach because you've got the opportunity not to only touch the hitters, you got the opportunity to touch the pitchers, an entire team. And in the minor leagues, there's a ton of turnover, and so I don't only have the opportunity to touch the 27 to 30 people on my team, right? As guys came up and down, as guys visited the complex to rehab or whatever the case may be, I also had the opportunity to touch them.
Well, obviously you were doing something right because you got the call from the Nationals to come over here and be the first base coach on the big league team. Mm-hmm. So this is your first year here. So how did that come about, and how did it feel to be able to, so young, get a spot on the coaching staff here?
Yeah, I think I was to the point where all of my mentors were saying that I could probably make the jump to the major leagues. They felt that I could be ready in a year or two or whatever the case may be. And so it'd be beneficial to start interviewing even if I didn't get anything. And so the Nationals called. I interviewed. I put my best foot forward. I showed them who I am, and they accepted. They thought that I could really help this team do something. And so now here I am.
Yeah. About 3 more for you, and that's awesome, man. And so, you're like 31, like I said. So I'm sure do you have any aspirations of someday being a big league manager?
Absolutely. That's why you do it, right? That's why you start coaching.
Yeah.
To either be a big league hitting coach, a big league pitching coach, or a big league manager. And so, one day I do hope to hold that title as major league field manager.
No doubt. 2014, Jackie Robinson Little League, real quick, when they went to Little League World Series in Williamsport, that was the only time I've ever been to Williamsport, and I made sure to go out there when they made it. That was the same year as Monet Davis as well. And I went out there 2 different weekends. That was very cool. But what do you remember just about that time and what the city of Chicago? I know you were at Louisville, but you might have been there in the summertime. But what was you remember about the city of Chicago? How they felt about that team?
Man, it was great because I felt like Jackie Robinson, when I played, we're doing some things right. They were doing some really good things. They were turning over some really good players, and for them to finally be able to get recognition for everything that they do, the good that they do. Those guys, man, the Haley brothers, the Haley family, they do a really good job of pouring into players, never complaining, never getting any recognition, and for them to finally get recognition on the national stage, it made me feel good, and I'm sure it made them feel good as well. But then also to see the momentum that Chicago started to build. You had guys on that team that went and they played in the SEC. Some of those guys on that team played in professional baseball. I think it just it's a testament to the athletes that are in Chicago. Hey, we play baseball too, even if it is cold, even if we don't have as much money as anybody else. We've got character, we're tough, and we play baseball too.
No doubt. Okay, last 2 for you. I asked everybody this question. So, who's the most talented teammate you ever played with?
Darius Day is the most talented. Oh, in amateur, Darius Day is the most talented teammate I've ever played with. In the big leagues, Christian Yelich.
Okay, and Darius Day is in Chicago, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And last one for you. You've been a coach now about 3 years, so the most talented player you've ever had the chance to coach?
I don't have any favorites, but got to be James Wood, right?
James Wood.
James Wood, yeah.
Definitely. And, thanks for answering the question, because some guys, like I don't want to offend somebody, whatever. But okay, James Wood, no doubt about it. And folks, Washington Nationals first base coach currently, and number 5 pick overall in the 2016 Major League Baseball Draft, Corey Ray out of Chicago. Corey, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, my man. All right, folks, we're back.